type in my.rotary.org, and it pulls up this landing page where you can sign in a couple different ways. You can either go up here, sign in and register. If this is your first time, you've never logged in, definitely go through the register section. It'll be important that you have been designated as a club president in order for you to register, and we'll kind of go through the importance of getting that email address correct, so that way you can register later on. But go ahead, pick whichever way you'd like to sign in. You'll utilize your login information, which is typically your email address and your chosen password. Once you've signed in, you'll have access to kind of a bunch of different sections up here. I implore you to get your presidents to explore these landing pages, see what's out there, figure out, all the learning and references that are out there, getting to see what other clubs are doing in around the world, and get kind of inspiration from, essentially what's listed here in the MyRotary section. So to navigate into getting your club information updated, we're going to go over here to Home, Clubs, and if you are a dual member, you'll see multiple clubs here listed, but you'll of course select the Rotaract Club because that is the club that we're interested in updating. You'll have club details here, and in order to add members, you'll want to go into this little Members tab here. This gets you into the general landing page for your club. And as you'll see, once you scroll down, you'll have your list of members that you currently have active and listed in your club. If your club data hasn't been updated in a while, you may have some very outdated information with some really old members, in which case this presentation will be extremely helpful, because this will help you go through and kind of terminate members that are no longer active in your club, but also add members that are active. Through here, you have this data services. This data services automatically links you to data@rotary.org. As Giselle kind of mentioned, for any DRCs, DRRs that are working with getting club presidents designated, collecting that data, understanding who those club presidents are, and then ultimately sending that information to this email address. This email address also is here for you if you run into any issues with updating any member data. This database, or this email address, is here for you for any of that. So we're going to go into adding a member. Again, it gives you a similar landing page as it previously. When you scroll down, we are kind of driven to this. And this kind of gives you the opportunity to look up to see if the email address currently exists in the system, the first and last name. So we already know we have John Doe listed as one of our members. So we're going to go and we're going to search. And as you see, this literally lists every John Doe that is listed in the Rotaract system. So if they are already in the system, you can see that. But if you see them and you're like, oh yeah, this John Doe, I want him to be in my club. So you're going to select this person, you're going to go through, you're going to scroll through, and it's going to have all their data, their address, all of that to confirm. Once you continue, because they are already designated in the system, the only option to add them into your club is as an honorary member. So they will not be listed as an active member. So in which case you have to, figure out who their club designation is, what email address that currently, or what club currently owns that email address. And you can kind of designate that through the data@rotary.org email address and get that all sorted out. But moving on to, if we were just adding a brand new member who's never been put into the Rotary system, typing in just a random email address, you go to search. And once you hit search and that email address is not designated in the system at all, it's going to tell you, sorry, we couldn't find your results, in which case you'll have the option to add a new member. Once you've clicked that, you'll kind of scroll through, and this is what the information that I had previously described. It'll give you the option to type their full name, their first name, their last name. Everything with an asterisk is what's required of you to kind of put in. And again, the most important information that you put into the system is this email address, because that is what designates the ability for a specific member to go into RI and sign in and register for an account. So that email address must be correct in the system. There's also opportunity to put an address. If you don't necessarily collect that information, that's not super important from the jump, but if you have that information and you're able to input that, that's great as well. All of this information is also updatable by the member themselves from their own profile page. They can go in and update, you know, their mailing address, their city, their state, what have you. And then also like their preferred language, their country, region, this state, province, territory. Once you select your country region, it automatically populates. If you have a state, province, territory that can be given, that'll automatically populate for you. But of course, since I had selected the United States, it populated as such. And once you get down to the bottom and you've completely filled out all the information and you click continue, this will give you the opportunity, again, since that member wasn't already designated in the system, you should be able to click this drop-down menu and select active. And then from there, select the membership start date. And then once you click that you've certified that everything's in accordance with bylaws, you'll click continue. And then it'll showcase here at the top that you've successfully added a new member to the club. And then it'll provide you their new member ID. So just some key takeaways from that. Again, the email address is the most important information. That has to be correct in the system in order for your member to be able to go in and have a MyRotary account, be able to upload a profile picture, upload any data about themselves, their job, anything essentially that they'd like to be provided in the public profile to all Rotarian members. So yeah, so then we're going to move into adding member information. So let's say, for example, you didn't put the email address in correctly into the system, and we want to edit John Doe's email address. You're going to click these three dots over here, and it'll automatically provide you with a few options to edit the member's data. So you're going to click View Member Details, and once you've done that, you should have access to edit the name, you know, their birth date, their gender, what have you. But the important piece is here is that their contact information. So when you go to edit, you'll be able to type in a new email address. If you want to add a secondary email address, just make sure you have something designated for their primary email for RI communication. Once you've done that, you scroll through again. This will just verify all that information and click Save Changes. And then it'll tell you that the update has been successful. I'm not going to go through the full how to go back to the original landing page. I'm just going to click home for the purpose of this, but you'd go back and you navigate the same way we did at the beginning. Now, let's say you have a lot of members in the system when you inherit access to this and you want to do a member termination. So again, you're going to go into the three dots and you'll have this option here for member to terminate the member. So once you've selected that, and you scroll down, you'll see the termination date and the termination reasoning. So you would just fill that out accordingly based on whatever is applicable for that particular member and click continue. It'll give you one more verification that you do indeed want to terminate this member, certify that's in accordance with the club constitution, and confirm. Now, once you hit confirm, that member isn't automatically going to go away. It does take about 24 hours before that member disappears completely from the system, but your options are limited here. I'm not entirely sure why it gives you the option to assign a club officer role, but that was part of the screen grab that I was able once I terminated a member. So essentially, you won't be able to do anything else other than what's listed here. Now, updating club officers. Updating club officers becomes important when you're trying to give access to members of the board to be able to update the data. So that way the data doesn't necessarily fall solely on the club president. The club president can then go in and update club officers and grant access to members of the board to be able to go into the RI system and terminate and add members accordingly. So we're going to go through that right now. So we're going to, pretend, because John Doe is unavailable, we're going to go to Jane Doe, clicking the 3 dots. We're going to assign a club officer role. And Jane Doe pops up here. And you can either select the current term or a future term. The current term is applicable for anybody, again, that you want to have access to be able to update the data in RI this year. The 2023-2024 is important because you'll need to designate a president-elect for the incoming year. If you do this early, it'll automatically grant access to that person as soon as July 1, 2023 hits. That person will be able to go in and have these accesses, and you don't have to go through the data at rotary.org. It'll just be automatically transferred over to the next president. So it's super important that as soon as you know who the incoming president is, that you designate this person accordingly. The club president for this screenshot was already designated, so it's not showing up as an option, but this sort of gives you a snapshot of what member chairs are available. Once you select that, you click continue, and it'll automatically update into the system. So we're not really going to go into updating club information. I just wanted to kind of include this in here just so that way you're able to at least see kind of what that looks like. So to go back into the club details, you click back here, and there you'll be able to update your contact information. So any primary email address associated with the club, and then any, oh, I actually have a slide for this, any meeting locations that you want to update as well, which provides you the ability for your club to be found on Club Finder. So you can edit accordingly in these sections under the club details. Oh, and those slides did not delete, so we're just going to scroll right through those. So the overall key takeaways, so make sure that the club president is reported at all times. If you know the incoming president, that they are also designated. If you have any issues with uploading data into MyRotary, I'd probably reach out first to your DRR, DRC, see if they could, even us as Zone 34, we could see if we could be of assistance. And then if not, we'll probably designate you over to data at rotary.org if there's any major issue that we can't help you kind of navigate ourselves. Again, email addresses are super important in linking a MyRotary account with your club. It's super important that that information is correct. And then once you have access to MyRotary, then you can explore all the areas to help your club.